Hello, everyone. My name is Doug Roland, and I am very excited to be talking to the team of The Criminels today. The Criminels is an amazing short film that I had the pleasure of actually seeing on the festival circuit quite a while ago, and it really stuck with me when I saw it. So I'm so pleased to be with you all today to be able to ask you directly all of the questions that I had after seeing this wonderful film. But first, to introduce you all, we have the writer-director, Serhat Karaaslan. He is a Kurdish director from Turkey. And we have our wonderful actors here, Denise Alton, who plays Nazli. We have Lorin Merhart, who plays Emery. And we have Erdem Senajak, who plays our wonderfully disturbing security guard, which I'll definitely have some questions about that. But first, just a couple notes about the film here, which is really fantastic and rightfully so premiered at Sundance this past year, where it won its first award of many. And since then has played at a number of different festivals, winning tons of different awards, and is shortlisted for a CÉSAR in France. But of course, what we're talking about today is part of the short list of the Academy Awards. And, you know, as an American watching this film, which if you haven't watched this already, you got to run immediately to the screening room to see this film that's about this young Turkish couple who's really just trying to have a wonderfully intimate night together, and things take quite a twist. And one of the things that's central to the plot of this film is this young couple not having a marriage license, and that being apparently prohibitive for them to engage in intercourse with one another. And as an American watching this film, my first question for you, Serhat, is this a real circumstance in Turkey? Is this something that is true, that without a marriage license you might be it might be a criminal offense to engage in intercourse? Is that true?
Yeah, the film is based on true story, and it's true that like the hotel mostly they ask for the certificate, marriage certificate. Otherwise, they don't let you as a couple go to stay in the same room. And like by law, there is not a like a rules like that. I think in the past there was problem, but now officially there is not any rules like that. But I think states also like somehow take advantage of the situation. They can somehow change this. I mean, if the hotel asks from a couple the marriage certificate for staying in the same room, normally it should be something against the human rights, but state doesn't do anything. They somehow like the hotel owners, managers, they do this kind of stuff. And of course, it depends where you are in Turkey. It depends also the hotel. If it's 5, 6 stars hotel, they don't ask. But in the small hotels, in the small cities, it's really very strict. And like in Anatolia, in most of the cities, you can see the sign like family hotel. It's they wrote on the hotel like it's family hotel. It means there is not this kind of stuff from their point of view, from that mentality. I mean, if you make love without marriage, it means it's kind of from their point of view, it's like prostitution. And if they like announce you, I don't know, if they call the police and they catch you in situation like that, they can I don't know say like you are doing prostitution, you know. And I mean, of course, police will not do anything, but there will be investigation. That's still disturbing. I mean, even only asking that certificate also already like disturbing things. And as I said in the beginning, it's based on a true story, and this happened not exactly like in the film, but it's a true story.
And so, yeah, just to get a little bit more about that, because I was curious what inspired this film. So you're saying it's based on a true story. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on the specific inspiration for it?
Yeah, if you want to know it, it's my personal story. It happened to me when I was at university.
And
I was
so,
I was hiding that for a long time. It was kind of weird because I was not very comfortable. Then when people start to ask like several times, I said, okay, it's my personal story. It happened to me. But of course, it's not thanks God, it didn't happen as it's in the film. There was not someone like Erdem scary, and that's like fictional part. And but until the phone call, like seriously, more or less same.
and
That, that yeah.
to hop right into that part, because you know one of the things that I thought was a really interesting aspect of the film was kind of this feeling, this generational gap too, of this young couple, you know, feeling like they just want to express their love and affection to each other, and it's kind of these a little bit of like the a generation above them that's really trying to institute these, you know, and uphold these laws, so to speak. Is that something that you feel is emblematic of the situation in Turkey? Is there a generational gap around that topic?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to make like a film about young generation in Turkey, how they live, how they feel nowadays in Turkey, because young generation in Turkey, like especially last few years, they all dream to go abroad, and the only way for them, only salvation is that, and it's very sad. And I want to make something about them, and this story, it was perfect to express that feeling. And also, you know, like old generation, they abandon or they don't do anything for this kind of things, and like the young generation, they look for the freedom of sexuality. It's, you know, something they want to discover, they want to live freely in, and for them it's more symbolic and more meaningful, I think. Like that's why I choose, like they are not like teenager, but they just started university, and I think it was, for me it was like best time for like questioning a situation like that, and because of that I've chosen like university couple.
Well, and the university couple you cast did a tremendous job in this film. Lauren, I'd love to start with you. How did you get on board of this film, and what were your thoughts when you first read the script?
Well, it was a beautiful journey, to be honest. It was like to the point that we are here today. I'm like, wow, it's been great, and the casting process was pretty quick. You know, like I heard from Serhat that they've been you know, casting for about 5 6 months, and then I was in a TV show and my character died, so I had the opportunity to audition for this role, and I got it on the day, and I completely, like, it kind of clicked. I don't know why, but it was just it happened really quick, and then we started rehearsing a lot. We started talking about the script a lot, you know, and then we did like chemistry work with Deniz, and she was incredible as well. And you know, the intimate scene is a hard scene as well, so we talked about that. And but it was a really nice process. It was really chill.
I love that. That's such an amazing example of one door closing and another opening, that your character dies on one show and it allows you an opportunity on another one. So,
Exactly. I was so pissed off.
So-
And then this happened. I was like, wow.
well, let that be, you know, that's a good reminder to all actors out there. If you die in one thing, that just means you can be born into another, right? So,
Exactly.
good reminder there.
Exactly that.
And Denise, you know, I guess picking up on what Lauren was saying about the intimacy of the role, I'm wondering, you know, what your experience was like making this film, and you know, if that kind of level of like intimacy was something new for you exploring in film, and what your overall experience was acting in the film.
Çok heyecan vericiydi. Böyle parça parça mı anlatacağım, siz çevireceksiniz? Bir bütün halinde söyleyeyim, siz mi çevir? Nasıl?
Sen anlat, biz çeviririz ya.
Tamam. Çok heyecan vericiydi. Başta korkutucuydu. Ama içine girdikten sonra kişisel gelişimim için de, kariyerim için de beni ileriye taşıyacak bir iş oldu. Beni çok geliştirdi, çok heyecanlandırdı. Çok mutluyum o yüzden. Böyle bir şeydi.
It's perfect.
Hocam?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, so she kind of feels the same things. You know, she was really excited to be a part of this project, and it was a new phase for her as well in her career, because it's an independent film, and obviously the scenes were more intimate and stuff. So it was a huge step for her career, and she's really happy to be in it. So.
Well, you both did a wonderful job, and you know, Erdem, I want to get to you in a moment, because this film, Serhat, as you already started to allude to, takes a real turn from your real life experience into something much darker. But before we get to the performance there, you know, Serhat, I want to talk about how this film kind of shifts genres, or how you play with genre in this. You know, something that I found so interesting in watching it was that I felt like it was one thing at the beginning, and then halfway through it very much becomes another kind of film. Can you talk about, you know, why you made that choice narratively, and then also how you supported that, you know, through the look and feel of the film itself?
Before Erdem, right? Because you were going to ask something to Erdem, or
No, I want to actually have you speak on that, and then we'll go into his performance. Yeah.
okay, yeah, sure, great. I mean, as I said, the idea, it was in my mind for a long time, but I was looking for a way to how tell this story. What's the best way to tell this story? And I have written like a few times, but very simply. It was not enough for me to make a theme. Then, when I found the idea of the security guard, the atmosphere of the script totally changed, and it gave me a chance to play with the genre, like using the elements of thriller film, horror film. But I was very careful with that because, like the security guard, it was the balance of the movie at the same time for me. It changed the tone. It also brought some dark humor. When there was, for example, during the editing, we were trying to balance that. When there was too much black humor, dark comedy, and we take film less seriously. We try to make darker instead of doing that. After my first feature film, I decided to make this film, and I wanted to make something different compared to my previous film. To be honest, my previous film almost like social realistic film, and my previous shorts like very close to documentary style, like cinema verite. And in my feature film also, I tried something like thriller, psychological thriller, and a bit policier, but without detective. In this film, I wanted to try something new, and this story, it had potential to play with, and definitely it came with the security guard. And I must say something about Erdem. When I was writing, I was thinking about him, and because we worked together for my previous film, and I knew that he's going to explode. I knew that he will do something really crazy, and he also gave me inspiration and somehow encouraged me to play with the tone also, to be honest.
Well, you know, one of the things I really loved about that turn, and then, you know, this more sinister turn and section of the film, is that it, you know, you were talking about that balance, and I think you really nailed that, because it doesn't feel like it's going too far in either direction, and creates this very unique space and energy where you, as a viewer, I really didn't know what was going to happen in this really delightful way. You know, because anytime it's getting too funny, it gets dark again. And anytime it gets too dark, there's enough humor to lift you out of it, that it kind of has you bouncing around, like just not knowing where you're going. And Erdem, that takes us to you here. Serhat was just, you know, teeing it up here, mentioning that having worked with you before, he knew you'd bring something interesting to it. So can you tell me about what that process was like in finding this character that delighted so much in this situation, and kind of how you came to this wonderful performance?
Thank you for your words, first of all. I think I have a very great advantage, like working with Serhat before. Like we know each other very well, how we work together, and we know our language very well. And also this, he, as he said, he was thinking about me while he's writing this character. This is also a very big advantage for an actor. And also he has a big trust in me, which I feel inside. So this gave me a big self-confidence, which is very important, I think, in acting, because it's the primal fear of an actor. I mean, why doesn't everyone cannot act? Because of this primal fear, because, you know, so because of Serhat's trust, I could improvise freely, but also not fully. I could improvise with Serhat or with Lorin, with Deniz, with my fellow actors. So it was this journey, this improvising journey, this character was there. Serhat wrote it very well. I could hear his melody. I could hear his music. So during the rehearsals or during the shooting, I just added some minor notes to this character, but it was there.
And again, that makes sense how you're describing this process, because in having that trust from a director and having the right actor for the role, you get such a singular performance. Something that feels so original and really its own kind of thing, which makes the film so special. You mentioned kind of like having space to improvise. How much of that performance was what was on the page in the script versus things that were found in the moment?
I mean, the character was similar, right? But Serhat gave me the freedom to change the sentences. Like, for example, he was saying, "What's up, boys?" for example, or "Are you disturbed?" for example, when I try to kiss the girl, "Are you disturbed? What happens?" But I said, is my breath thinking, for example. But these improvisations, even I don't know how much came from me, how much came from Serhat, because it was not important. The process was always going together. Like sometimes Serhat was adding something, sometimes I was proposing something, sometimes Lorin and Deniz were proposing something. The last decision was always coming from Serhat. But yeah, because sometimes it's not about the better sentence, it's about, how the actor says it for himself or for herself. So Serhat gave me the freedom to say the sentences according to me, how I'm feeling better. So that gives a character reality, originality, and depth, I think.
Well, there was a wonderful delight in which your character took in terrorizing this young couple, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable to watch. And
at this point, Erdem, he's very humble, and he's really, I want to say something about how he works. Lorin and Deniz also, I'm very lucky to work all of them. They are great. Erdem, he proposed you a lot of things, and you should know which one you should get it. Like when at the beginning of the rehearsal, each time he offers you something new, and you should know what you really need for your film. And when we look for the best performance or the best team during rehearsal, and these kind of things always inspire you, like trying new things. And also, like, for example, some actors, they want you to show them. Erdem, he doesn't like a few times I tried to show and he didn't like it, and he wants to somehow you describe another way. And it's very mysterious and difficult to explain how you work, how you communicate. Like, sometimes you don't talk too much, but with the trying, as he said, he does something and we do some small adjustment. I also, like, a few times when they ask how we work together, I give the example of that smell things. I said, like, they asked me how much was in the script, his performance. I said, I give you just one example, the smell he added at the rehearsal. And it's great things. It's not something you can imagine. It's like, but he didn't came to the shooting with that idea. He found it there, I think. And when you trust each other, you work and you search together and you found it, I think. And of course, if you have enough time to do as much as rehearsal, you can.
And again, like that process, now knowing how you work together makes so much sense, because it feels so wonderfully and bizarrely specific that I'm thinking, like, who would even think to write this? But, of course, there's some of that stuff that could only be found in the moment, because it's so wonderfully bizarre and specific. And again, it really works not only because of how, wonderful the performance is from Erdem, but Deniz and Lorin, what I loved about those scenes too is that I felt like your characters' reactions were so honest to the bizarreness of the moment, and kind of not really knowing how to respond, but it feeling like a real confused response to it. I guess, Lorin, starting with you, can you talk about, now knowing that there was like a healthy degree of like finding it on the spot, can you talk about what your experience was like during that?
It was so fun because every time we started shooting, or it's a new take, and it's like I have no idea what's gonna happen. You know, you have to be ready as an actor to receive, because like one time it was a slap, you know, and then one time it was just that, and then one time it was a smell, and I was so thrown off. It was, I was so thrown off. He come close to me. I was like, "What is going on?" And it was so genuine. I didn't even have to act that. It was just like, "What is going on?" And then I started remembering the character and stuff, and in the moment, it became something so natural, and that's why this film was one of the best things that happened to me, because it was just exploration and exploration all the time. You know, it was genuine.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, Denise, I'd love to take a similar question to you. You know, knowing that there was so much space for improv in these bizarre moments, what was your experience like during those scenes?
Ben böyle zamanlarda bir süreliğine profesyonellikten çıkıp karşımdaki oyuncunun yaptığı şeyi hayranlıkla izlemeye başlıyorum. Ve ondan çok etkilenip oynamayı bırakıp izliyorum ve o anı yaşıyorum sadece. Daha sonrasında tamam toparlanmam lazım deyip işime dönüyorum ve tabii ki bana çok büyük katkısı oluyor çünkü karşımdaki canlandıkça, yeni bir şeyler buldukça ben de kendi içimden bir şeyler üretebiliyorum. Bu karşılıklı bir paslaşma çünkü. Erdem abiyle o yüzden çalışmak inanılmaz keyifliydi. Beni çok eğlendirdi o gergin sahneler. Benim için çok eğlenceliydi aslında. Ve zordu çünkü gülesim geliyordu.
Benim de.
Hadi çevir bakalım.
Okay, I'll try to get all of that at one go. But she said, firstly, when an actor does stuff like that, every time different stuff, she said that first of all, she's like amazed and looks how like the actor's working, and wow, what a brilliant actor. And then she just goes completely off character. She said. But then obviously she said she was talking about how that improves you as an actor as well. You know, when you have an actor that tries new things, that it forces you to try new things as well, and because of the space we had, it was just completely perfect. You know, just to try out stuff, and it made her a better actor as well. And it was a big pleasure to work with Erdem abi.
Well, yeah, those sequences are just really delightful to watch, and you know, we come out of that at a very intense moment of this young couple, you know, trying to just get out of this situation and kind of restart this whole thing. I love this addition of this older couple that's coming to check in. You know, that feels like just bearing witness to this, and then we realize that they're trying to do seemingly the same thing. Where, you know, Serhat, where did that element come from? Because it was such an amazing kind of button on that whole sequence.
Actually, I had a story for them, like background story for them. We changed it in the edited because it was much more interesting if they also don't have a marriage certificate and how it's going to happen situation for them, because they don't even think like the hotel manager. They don't even think or imagine like an adult. Of course, they are married. You know, there's one thing, and they are skeptical about the young. And then we wanted to keep like that in the edits, not giving too much information. But like the reason was like after a long, very tense night, like I want like something a bit like funny, like you know, like some moment at the sitcom, you know, like unexpected things and what can happen right now. Like if police come, it's very serious. If their family come, it's very serious. But what else can be? And I found this idea and also like make like audience a bit relaxed, laughing a bit after this all like violence tension, and also like make a contrast between them. Like, I mean, adults also can face, but for adults it can be different. Like they even, as I said in the beginning, they even cannot imagine like someone more older than 30 will not be married. You know, they accept that they are already married, and also that the other reason was that.
And you know, again, just to kind of continue this last this very final scene, where our couple, you know, has gotten out of this terrible situation and are enjoying this kind of really, you know, ultimately kind of sweet moment together, sharing a late night meal. I'm wondering why you chose that as an ending, because I have certain things as a viewer that I got out of that, but I'd love to hear directly from our writer director what inspired you to make that choice, and kind of what were you wanting to ultimately leave the audience with there.
Like during the writing this story, the most difficult thing was like the end. How you can end like a story like that? It changed the meaning of the film. It changed what you want to say, what you want to question. And during writing also, I really like it was a challenge for me. I didn't want to it ends like with something very bad, with like a traumatic for this couple. I want to it somehow end with their victory, like a small victory. Like they get out from that hotel, but with their inner power. And specifically, I chose like with the power of the female character. And because of that, like in the end, at the reception, she's very powerful and she's expressing very, I don't want to say very strong. It's like the against these all things, like she explodes suddenly after all of things. And like film ends when they get out from the hotel and what you want to show. And there was another scene in the script after that end. I mean, I'm telling the end because they probably see the film, the people who are going to watch this, right? It's not going to be spoiled, right?
No, yeah, and time out if you haven't watched this film already. What are you doing? Go watch it right now. Go ahead. You're good.
Spoiler alert.
Disclaimer. Yeah, disclaimer. Like spoiler.
There was another scene after that restaurant scene. They were in the bus station, and it was night. There was nothing around, like around morning, and it was saying there is no place to go for them. And then when doing the editing, we put both. It was like two ends. We said, okay, we should decide it. And the editor and the producer, all other people in the crew who were in the editing room, they preferred the other end. And somehow I felt this end is the right because it's a scene, it's a moment, and it tells much more thing. It's like it's calm, and they somehow at one night they grow up for me. But the other one, it was just a sharp picture. You say there is no place for these people. I don't want to say this, and I stand against them very strong for a long time. I insisted for doing this end, and because it's, as I said, it showed like the changes of the character. During the whole film, they were like very childish. They were doing very like the things kids doing. But now when they are in the restaurant, they are calm and they are like mature people. I don't know if it makes sense. And also the another things, they are, even when they are touching each other's hands, they are more careful and scary. Like they know it's not the problem only that hotel. Everywhere for them it's like that. Like the country like that, and they face this reality and they are very careful. Also, they become a real couple. They are more connected than before. Normally in the real life, you don't expect like that. When something very bad like that happen, normally there is problem between the couple. I think, like they start fighting. Why we went there? Why we did that? I didn't want something like that. And also, after this all violence, like calm moment, like they are eating soup. Which is we do in Turkey a lot when we hang out, when we go out, we drink all night, we end up in the soup place. It's a cultural things. That's why I wanted to end like that.
Yeah, I love that. It's so interesting to kind of hear your reasons on that, because I got a lot of that. But another kind of element that I got from that too was that I really loved was that it felt like, at first, through the lens of our security guard and the guy who owns the hotel wanting to uphold this law, seeing these two kind of young, carefree and maybe a couple that's inclined to break the rules and just kind of for their own pleasure and for like really base reasons. I got a sense of like, oh, they really care about each other in another way too. That it's not just about the sex. Not that there'd necessarily be anything wrong with that from other points of view, but that beyond wanting to have sex with each other, they also have another kind of intimacy with each other, which is like a really sweet, tender intimacy where they really care about each other, in this other way as well. And I thought that was a great button on that, because I'm thinking, well, what if the security guard and the guy who runs the hotel saw this sweetness? Would they still be as stern with this couple? But I thought it was just such a lovely way to wrap up what was quite a journey. Which brings me to one of the final questions here, which is the title, The Criminels. We can infer a lot, having had this conversation now. But Serhat, do you maybe want to speak to the title, the choice of the title there?
Yeah, sure. I really like what you said about the couple, because we really talk a lot about like the relationship between this couple with Denise and Lauren during the preparation. We kind of build like a real relationship, and how it evolves during this night. Like in real life also, when this kind of things happen to us, we become more connected or we separated. And it was really like there was some keys. It was guiding us to like start the relationship of this couple, and like that also. And the title, it was something different actually. When we did the translation of the script, the translator did like translation of a line like the criminals. Like the criminals, they are here with me. I think the security guard was then saying on the phone. There was a moment we cut on the editing, and then we really like it because it's ironic. There is not a crime, and when there is no crime, it becomes more meaningful, and you question like who is the criminals? Like this couple, because they are caring each other, they are loving each other, and they want to have some intimacy. They want to make love. It makes a crime, and or the people they punishing them for this, and it's very simple. It's too direct maybe, but I like it, and also it's really. It's a hot title, it's give you a feeling you want to watch it, if that film called The Criminals, like Natural Born Killers, I don't know, like something like that. But it's also you think about genre film, like if you don't know anything about this film, you see the titles, The Criminals, you directly think about what's the crime, like they are partner in crime. There is a couple, young couple, and the title is Criminals. It's bring a lot of curiosity and question. That's why we have decided to this title.
Yeah, I thought it's such a fitting title, and I have a couple. I have one rapid fire question for each of our actors before we part ways here. Denise, I'll start with you. In talking about the Criminels, and looking at this young couple that just wants to share this intimacy with each other. Well, is this a topic that you had encountered before? And I'm just wondering kind of like what your feelings are about it.
Bu yaşadıkları üstünde.
Böyle bir şey yaşamadım, fakat erkek arkadaşına daha önceleri üniversitenin ilk yıllarında bir otelde kalacağımız zaman çok korkmuş ve gerilmiştim. Bir sorun çıkar, bize hesap soracaklar, bir şey olacak diye. Çünkü bakışlar çok rahatsız ediciydi. Bize herhangi bir baskı veya evlilik cüzdanı sormasalar da yargılar bir şekilde bakıyorlardı kimliğimizi ve kaydımızı yaparlarken. Bu çok can sıkıcıydı. Bir de bir yaz tatilimde de erkek arkadaşımla yine bir otelde kalacağım zaman bize abi kardeş gibi davranmışlardı. Abinle sen falan, böyle hani altını çize biz de falan diye çaktırmadan öyle geçiştirip kalmıştık yani. Bunun gibi, ama daha çok bu olay yaşamasak da toplumda olan bu sadece cinsellik de değil, ikili ilişkiler üzerine bir baskı var. Bunu hissediyorum. Benim ailem böyle bir aile olmamasına rağmen benim üzerimde bile taşıdığım bir yük. Bu konuda da Nazlı'nın aslında bana iyi geldiğini düşünüyorum, kendimi bu konuda keşfetmek anlamında. Sen daha güzel çevir bunu, güzel söyleyemedin.
That's a lot. So basically, two encounters she had one time. One is with her boyfriend when they did go to a hotel to stay in a holiday place. They didn't get asked for a marriage certificate or anything, but they did get judgmental looks and suspicious looks, which made them very uncomfortable, and they kept watching them all the time. and that made them really, you know, on edge all the time. And the other one was again at a holiday. They were together with boyfriend, and the people at the hotel, they were deliberately saying, "Oh, so you guys are brothers and sisters, yeah? So I hope you guys have a good holiday with your brother and sister." Just like, you know, insinuated nothing's gonna happen in this hotel. You know what I mean? Like that. And then she added on finally that she does feel, you know, at the place we live in, the social oppression of, and like all this constant judgment, which I agree as well, you know.
Yeah, and I wanted to, Loren, I wanted to ask you really the same question, like from your vantage point,
Yeah.
like what's your personal feelings on that topic?
So for me, is you know, I observe a lot, you know, and I've been to I lived in London for 4 years, got my drama school education there, and when I went back and forth all the time, I could see how love is expressed, like how much more suppressed in Turkey it is. You know what I mean? Like people are afraid to touch each other, you know, or do, yeah, you know, get close to each other all the time. Relationships are lived behind closed doors. You know what I mean? But you know, international, you know, Germany, London, whatever, it's so much more expressed, and you know, it's free. And seeing that just makes me upset. You know, it makes me sad because I want to be able to express my love anywhere I go with my girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well said. And Erdem, final question for you. What's going on? I want to know a little bit more from your perspective. What's going on with the security guard and why he delights so much in terrorizing young people? And is this something that he's done before? Just play this game with me for a little bit. Let's use our imaginations. What's going on with this guy? Give us a little bit more insight into why he's so sinister and enjoys it so much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is the security guard, or also maybe in this little hotel, in this small hotel, maybe also he's the cleaning guy. He's the cleaning man. You know, he's everything, and he's also suppressed by this manager also. But I don't want to justify his actions, but you know, he has, and also I don't think that this manager sent him. He just sent him, bring them down, bring them here, he said. But he has, you know, 2 or 3 minutes. He has 2 or 3 minutes of kingdom. So he wants to make use of that 2 or 3 minutes. He's the president of the universe for that 2 or 3 minutes. So he tried, I think. He tried many times, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is his climax. Maybe he has beaten sometimes, I don't know. But that 3 or 3 minutes of kingdom, he wants to use of, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Some of the baddest baddies are the ones that are just given just enough power to really abuse it, and that's definitely clear in this case. Well, it was such a pleasure speaking with you all today. Again, I was excited to speak with you all because this film had stuck in my head for a long time, and getting to rewatch it recently, I was excited to hear about all that you shared today. Again, the Criminels is available in the Academy screening room. Of course, you've already seen it, but why not go back, watch it again after getting all these wonderful insights. And again, huge congratulations to all of you, Serhat, Denise, Loren, Erdem. Wonderful work across the board, and it's really been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.